Hey YouTubers and toy train lovers, I want to make a few comments about these newer Marx Ameritrains that were made in the 90s. This is the Canadian Pacific loco and tender that the Flynns, who were the owners of Marx Ameritrains, produced. And the shell and the tender are basically copies of a 1938 to 1942 Marx 391 Jubilee, which is also a Canadian Pacific. But as you can see, it's got the cooling tubes up here and the raised handrails, which is the big difference. And also the I guess they call them fog lights or whatever, up in the front over the boiler, over the headlights. And the only real difference between the two trains are the drive trains. The old train has the traditional open frame single reduction motor with an E unit. This, they've gone to a can motor and a rather large circuit board for forward, neutral, and reverse, and for converting the DC can motor over to AC, which, in my opinion, was kind of getting overcomplicated. But everybody seems to like these can motors now, and I guess they thought that was a good idea. And it's still been, I've had this locomotive and tender for I think 12 or 15 years, and it's still running just fine. Now here's an example of the daylight right behind it. And you'll see it's basically the same train except for the daylight. They did not put the cooling tubes up. They use the traditional raised hand grip, and they put the running lights up above, and they kind of ballooned the front out and chromed it. I think it looks quite nice, and did a beautiful job with the colors. I'm not crazy about the black tabs that come to the side, but that's a traditional Marx. It's the way they built the old Marx trains for years and years and years, so I guess I got to live with it. I'm not going to paint it over because I'll paint over the tabs because I'll destroy the value of it. And here's one of the Pullmans from the daylight set. It's also the same Pullmans that are pulled by the Canadian Pacific as far as the frames and shells go, just different colors. And I thought, where have I seen these before? Well, all it is the 1959 to 1960 William Crookes Pullmans or passenger cars, St. Paul and Pacific. You'll notice the St. Paul and Pacific is a bit taller. That's because it's using different trucks. So that's basically it. The Flynns didn't go out and reinvent the wheel. They just made some really beautiful cars and some really beautiful shells, and put a different drive system in them. And whether you agree with can motors and circuit boards or not, the nice thing to know is it takes 10 minutes to remove this motor if it should ever break and put in a traditional Marx motor. Or you can bypass the board and put in your own rectifier, which converts DC to AC, and it will be for one-way operation, but you'll still be able to use that can motor. So that's my little film and my comments. And once again, this has been a Big Lizard production. Still learning to use the camera, so thank you for your patience. Bye-bye.